5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we are. I'm John Miglosh with the WDMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. I'm also a member of nemoa for the last few years. And so we're going to talk about nemoa today just a bit. And let's see. I think we're going to go over here. And there we are. nemoa was founded in 1947. I'm heading down to the show. They have 2 shows a year. I've been to the last 17 or 18 in a row, I think, because I started in the fall. So this might be maybe my 19th. I don't know, but it's been a long run, and I really like it because it's the people that really know direct marketing, and the name in 1947 was the New England Mail Order Association, and because it was considered a regional association, I didn't go much because I'm not in New England, and but the name harkens back to what we consider the golden age, when we were still reading Claude Hopkins's Scientific Advertising, which I highly recommend, and mail order. People would send out catalogs. They had an order form. They had an envelope. We always had to decide, is it worth printing the envelope? Then they made a self-contained envelope on the order form. That kind of saved us a little money, and now nobody puts an order form in there. It's the way it is. So I think it was appropriate that they changed the name. They changed the name to the National E-Tailing and Mailing Organization of America. It would have been great if there was a National E-Tailing and Mail Order Association. I think it would have, but it always gets mixed up in my head. But, they had to get modernized. Because organization and, it's not an association anymore, of America. Yeah, because that would be redundant. I don't ever get the name right anymore. I just remember the New England Mail Order Association. But, they got a lot of members, and they do a great show, and the schedule is going up here, the schedule. I like this. There are no exhibits, but don't have private meetings when we're having conference summit sessions. That's in the bylaws or whatever, the rules of conduct, that you're not supposed to have meetings outside of the sessions. I didn't know that. Man, oh man, oh man, you better attend or you'll get booted right out. So for those of you who didn't know that, now you do. Okay. Yeah, they're going to have some networking time, cocktail party. We're going to have our WDMA we're going to have our WDMA meetup just after this, so we'll be safe. And then breakfast, sea level, I get to go to that. And we're also going to go, here's the sessions. The one I'm really interested in is Stephanie. She's from Design Toscano, and I knew her dad, Mike. And it's just a crazy place. Their warehouse is just great. But I'm sure she'll have something good to say, and she's working with Navistone, and I'm really interested in what they're doing, of course, also. Anyway, so I'm going to go for that one. And then after lunch, I think Ernie Schell's doing one. I hope so. New topics. Ernie Schell's around here someplace. And then the next day, the concluding thing, Ernie's on there. Ernie's an old friend of mine. Really like him. So they're going to have a lot of stuff. But and it's a lot of technical stuff, how to do better email, how to do better postcards, how to do better this, how to do better that. And so it's, it's a little bit technical. They don't get into the philosophical stuff, and that has its pluses and minuses, okay? The pluses are that you learn something that you can go home and actually implement. The minuses are sometimes I don't know if they get the big picture of what direct marketing is. So we're going to revisit the case study, and we're going to talk through a little bit more about what actually happened. I mentioned that we had, the stores and merchandise, and they had a little catalog because the consultant said so. But what happened was, this was in 2014, and then in 2015, the VP of marketing came in from Mountain Dew, and he said, why would we want to mail a catalog to people who'd already bought from us? Now, this goes back to the Harvard Business case, which said basically it's easier to sell to an existing customer than it is to sell to a new customer. Easier to get a new customer. And that's sometimes true. But if you're selling furniture or you're selling wash machines, not everybody needs a second one right away. So sometimes it is easier to go get new customers. It's not. It's too often by the mail order people where they look at lifetime value. Too often, I think they forget that sometimes it actually is easier to get a new customer than it is to get an existing one. And I hit on that pretty hard in my course, Reignite Your Company, reigniteur.com for more information. Anyway, so what we did was I said to Patrick, you can find out the answer. So the first principle is get some proven results. If you're going to try a mail order program, don't just mail something. Mail it in a way that's well done. And in this case, what we did is we mailed, I don't know, 6 figures in that neighborhood of customers, a little catalog, and we selectively, very carefully, this is the hard part, very carefully we held some of them out and we didn't mail them. Now, the problem we ran into the first time we did it was there were people with multiple houses, okay, like 3 or so. And we were just thinking about suppressing in a mathematical sort of way, and we forgot that we might be suppressing one but not the other 2. And we didn't really know where they were, so they were good customers, so we just mail all 3. These are the kinds of issues when you want proven results that you got to deal with, you got to figure out. And that's why it helps to have a 30-year track record of what to expect in a test, so that if it doesn't look right, with Musician's Friend we did a holdout test, and I think it was Channelview did the matchback, and we don't to this day know quite how, but they lost either the top 1 or the top 3 segments. They lost about $1.8 million worth of sales. It was just not there. And we had all the individual orders. So when we matched up what they came to and what we had, and we looked where it came from, we knew what happened. We fixed it and saved the catalog, but it's hard to set this stuff up. So the next thing is you test the offer. And so once we established this 300% ROI as a baseline, that it was worth mailing, then we started testing prospect mailing and postcards where we would test the offers on a particular sale or something like that. And we got really good about figuring out what exactly to say. What was the key motivating proposition for the customers, and that's really important. So not only do you establish the basis for your data, which digital just has a hard time doing because there's so much going on. It's so easy to do all kinds of stuff at the same time that you're cloudying the water, as they say. So once we established the holdout test as a principle, and then the split test as a principle, where we could start testing offers, because we were already testing segments, but that doesn't tell you all that much that you can leverage. A little bit. We also did some mapping and some other stuff. I mean, we did a lot of stuff. But the bottom line was, first, you prove the principle of results. Second, you test the offer. And third, you invest and retest. I like that. Now, what I mean by that is they'd been doing some television, and they've been doing retargeting, some other things. They had a couple of videos, and they were clever. But it wasn't really driving people to the stores the way they wanted. They wanted more compelling program. And so what we did, first of all, we still, after this is the 3rd year, we were still looking at the matchback and the holdout tests, and it turned out that there was a lot of pass along. And it turned out that there were almost 2 orders for every one that matched the mailing exactly. There were 2 that didn't quite match, but they were like next door neighbor that bought right after. And so we asked them, can we include that? And they said, well, let's do it both ways. And it turned out when we included the next door neighbors from pass along, we got 900% ROI. And so then what they did was they took what we'd learned and they started doing more TV. They drove traffic to their website, which increased that value. So it's all leverages together. That's the great part about this. And they started looking up the IP address and doing a mailing to the people that visited the website and stayed a little while but then disappeared. Well, sales went up 35.5%, And that is the way an e-tailing and mailing company works. I'm John Miglosh for the WDMA. See you at Nemoa tonight